Yellow Kong deliberately asked King Kong to go into the water and play with both hands. But how could King Kong not know this little trick? He smelled the atmosphere around him. King Kong feels that there will be lunch today. Then he also went inside the water and took a cold bath. Yellow Kong was afraid that his plan would be revealed. It pretending to be calm. He shook a ladle of water and drank it. A wave of ripples soon appeared on the calm water surface. King Kong also sensed that danger was approaching, and the moment he turned around, a reef snake several hundred meters tall suddenly appeared behind him while the two sides were fighting. Yellow Kong gloated and ran away. King Kong took advantage of the situation and threw him into the water. However, the coral snake immediately stood up again. King Kong was dragged to the bottom of the lake by the snake's tail. After 2 short minutes, a large splash suddenly appeared on the surface of the lake. The coral snake was still attached to King Kong's body, and Yellow Kong thought he was free from King Kong's shackles. The sky unexpectedly. A giant axe suddenly fell from the sky, tripping him and ignoring him. Then a tongue was thrown in front of him, and Yellow Kong, who did something bad, thought he would be hit, but King Kong was not angry, just let him move on until the sun set. King Kong sat on the cliff and started fucking looking at the food on the ground. Yellow Kong wanted to get close and hide, but the majesty of King Kong stopped again. I had to indicate that I needed a little food. Shocked, but when King Kong broke off a piece of meat and handed it to him, he was scared and became more defensive. King Kong was also helpless. He had to throw the food away. Little Kong, he immediately grabbed the piece of meat and ran to the side to devour it. Little Kong started to cut it. After eating, he felt that King Kong was not as bad as he thought. So Little Kong lowered his guard, and then he took King Kong all the way through the mountains and ridges. Finally found his group, but the sight in front of him made King Kong very sad and angry. He saw the same people treated like slaves. Old stars can't lift stones. He was beaten and kicked by King Kong's supervisor. Very angry about this, he ignored Yellow Kong's persuasion, walked and argued with the supervisor. Unexpectedly, he hit him. Seeing this, the other Kongs reported this problem to the commander there. Soon the Kong supervisor jumped down the stairs. He was King Scar. The leader here, all the Kongs had to bow and be quiet. When they saw him, he came to King Kong and looked carefully. Finally, Scar King fixed his gaze on the aluminum alloy steel gear. He laughed and his men also laughed together. Then he jumped in front of Yellow Kong and wanted to punish him severely. An old man quickly protected Yellow Kong. The king scars behind him, then he stops his vigilance next. How could the cruel Scar King be so kind? Just when King Kong thought he would be kind, he actually kicked the old man into the lava. King Kong was furious, really angry with his shameless behavior. A fight is about to start. King Scar takes out his whip and spins left and right. The other Kongs around him hurriedly dodge and clear the area. As the leader, Scar King also has some tricks. He actually used a whip to trap King Kong and was unable to escape. But this little bit of combat power is obviously not King Kong's limit. King Kong shouted loudly, and then swung his axe and knocked his opponent to the ground, then grabbed his body and threw him 100 meters away. Scar King knew he was no match for him, but he didn't panic too much. With a whip in his hand, another Kong on the stone wall immediately pushed the stone around. It turned out that there was a titan hidden in the cave. Extreme cold, gradually approaching King Kong. Then a creature covered in ice was pulled out. It was said that the fire stick that was in his body was enough to cause the earth to enter the glacier, and the reason why King Scar was able to make the entire tribe surrender, it was all because he had the bone whip that controlled the King Kong blood. Demon saw him wave his bone whip and give orders. The blood demon's body instantly became extremely uncomfortable. The blood demon's body could only be forced to attack King Kong, although King Kong fortunately blocked the first wave of attacks, but his arm was also injured by the ice death. Yellow Kong showed him the escape route. Seeing the second wave of blood demon attacks coming, King Kong hurriedly ran towards the route. In the end, he escaped by getting into a cave, but Scar King doesn't intend to give up just yet. He dispatched most of his men to continue hunting King Kong. King Kong dragged his injured body to a dead end, and the pursuers behind him followed closely. Facing this embarrassing situation of no retreat, the huge boulder running on this rocky mountain suddenly fell down, wipe out all the pursuers. It turns out that Yellow Kong had already laid a trap in advance. Then he came to King Kong holding his arm and leaving here. But wait until they are far away. A star pushes the stone on its body. A chaser pushes the stones on its body. King Kong plans to seek help from humans, and the chaser follows far behind. They also see the entrance to the land, so he plans to go back and give King Scar knew what he saw. King Kong exhausted all his energy, finally saw a human trace. The huge body also fell at this time. Dentist Andrew checked his arm. Andrew immediately flew the plane back to base and transported the robotic arm to King Kong. As he pressed the release command, an object that looked like Transformers slowly fell down, just stuck to King Kong's arm. The medicine in the syringe can help King Kong recover from frostbite. Soon King Kong stood up again with the blessing of robotic arms. King Kong's power has also been improved. Just when everyone is happy about this, Yellow Kong told King Kong in a panic King Scar is leading an army slowly approaching in their direction. It may be difficult for King Kong to win with his own strength alone. Only by finding Godzilla and joining forces, only in this way can King Scar be prevented from entering the human world. Resolve this crisis, King Kong reached the portal leading to the ground as quickly as possible, jumping up and down. Soon a huge whirlpool appeared next to the Egyptian pyramid. King Kong stretched out his arms and crawled out.